All right, welcome. Another installment of Community Wellness Solutions, Elements in Emotional Health. I'm Rob Bates. I'm a mental health clinician working here in the Quincy area. Community Wellness Solutions takes a holistic approach to partnering with communities and addressing growing social justice concerns and instilling hope in rural communities. We envision an environment where community partners engage with the community to disrupt substance abuse, poverty, and the cycle of violence which perpetuate dysfunction, pain, and trauma in our residents. Community Wellness Solutions envisions engaging our communities, building health and wellness, helping communities cope or prevent the related stressors they are experiencing daily. What is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make everyday choices. In this series, we're continuing to talk about the elements of emotional health and discussing how they affect us in our everyday life and the things that we can do to improve our health. Today, we're discussing exercising and eating well. The mind, the body, and the soul are all connected. And the more we keep this machine we call a body in tune with our mind and our soul, the better we're going to be as a whole. Healthy people understand how important it is in regard to others. That means not only expanding our mind, i.e. reading, learning, or something new, but meditating and keeping your body moving and fueling it properly. This helps you with your focus, performance, and sleep. We all know that if we stop exercising, our bodies start to tighten up. And as our bodies start to tighten up, we want to do less. And as we want to do less, this becomes, or could become, a depression. Exercise improves our self-esteem and general mental health. Research has shown that exercise is an effective but often underused treatment for mild and moderate depression. We see this every day right now, especially as we go through this COVID scare. People are stuck at home. They can't get out and do the things that they want or they need to. And they feel isolated. They feel alone. And they feel like they can't connect with the people that help them with the everyday emotional stresses. Regular exercise has proven to reduce depression, stress, and anxiety, as well as our sleep. We all know that if we lay around and do nothing all day, we're not going to be able to sleep very well that night because we're not tired. We haven't worked off any of the excess energy or the nervous energy that we feel during our day. So exercise in itself is the basic building block of going through that and helping our bodies function better and helping our minds go to sleep. To get the most benefit, you should get 20 to 30 minutes of exercise 3 days a week. That doesn't mean you can't exercise more. And, that's just kind of a baseline for what we get to do. But we also want to be flexible because we recognize that our lives are busy. And we have lots of things to do. The idea of exercise is elevating your heart rate just slightly above your resting heart rate and maintaining it for that 20 minutes. That could be going for a walk, going for a jog, going to the gym, or whatever it is that you do for exercise. Often we forget that some of the hard, laborious work that we do is exercise in itself. If you're out working in the field all day long, and you're putting all that energy into the field, or whether you're out in the orchards, or whether you're out doing whatever it is, that's called exercise. And let's not forget how hard you're working. If you don't have a physical labor job, walking is always a great choice. It's low stress, allows us to go out. We can often communicate with people we enjoy spending time with, or we can even take that time of isolation and aloneness if we don't have that at home, by putting in a pair of headphones and wandering down a country road. We can use that time to listen to a book, a podcast, music, or just take the earpods out and just live in that moment, enjoying where you're at. but we do it at a decent pace so we keep our heart rate up. Always remember to check with your medical professional before you start a exercise regimen. We don't want to go out and start running a marathon when we haven't walked a block in 2 or 3 years. I don't think I'd suggest that, neither would your medical professional. When it's nice outside, let's try to focus on creating some outdoor activities as we go forward. Here in Quincy, it's spring. It's a nice blustery day outside, but there's also a beautiful sun up in the sky, and the sky is blue. How amazing would it to find that place where you have a windbreak that you could just go soak up some of that sun and enjoy the day and be outside. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Schedule regular exercise into your daily routine. The more routine it becomes, the better chance you're going to follow through with your plan. Look for scheduled exercise activities in your community. It's really difficult to exercise by ourselves. But when we have a community that holds us accountable, that we can socialize with and we can connect with, it is always more amazing and more helpful for many people. Sometimes exercise is a solitary activity, and sometimes we have it as a group, as a social activity. Both improve your mental health. Exercise doesn't have to put a strain on your wallet. You don't have to go to the gym. You can just go walk down the street. You could pick up a ketchup bottle and do some curls. You can pick up some cinder blocks that happen to be in your backyard, or even a large rock. Whatever you do it carefully. If you're struggling with sleep, exercise is a great place to start. If we don't have a regular exercise schedule, we're not burning that nervous energy, and we're stuck thinking about whatever we're going on for the day. But we all know, when we exhaust ourselves during the day, we don't have to think about going to sleep. We go in, we lay down, and the next morning our alarm is going off. Sleep helps us with our regulator emotional health, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. Stick with it. Stick with your exercise goals. Exercise, 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 and that's going to help you with the minor things that are going on in your life. And when they get too much and you can't handle it by yourself, reach out and get help. Also, with exercise comes nutrition, because it's not just what we do with our body, but how we fuel it. If you find the only thing you're eating is candy, or you have a 10 Twinkie a day diet, then you're probably not doing very well. The most basic elements of our diet should be unprocessed food, whether that be fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh meat, fresh eggs, whatever you can get your hands on, to focus your diet on unprocessed foods that don't have those additional preservatives in them. Depression is thought of as primarily an emotional issue. It's not necessarily. All the chemicals that control our emotions and regulate our emotions are actually formulated in our gut. If we don't have the healthy building blocks inside of our gut, if we don't have the healthy bacteria inside of our gut to help produce those emotional chemicals that travel to our brain, we're not going to have a positive experience or good emotional health. Many people understand the connection between nutrition and physical disease. Fewer people are aware of the connection between nutrition and depression. Many of the same patterns that precede depression are the same food patterns that can occur during depression. Unhealthy snacking, snacking on unhealthy treats, sitting on the couch with a big bowl of chips, just focusing on that chips, eating mindlessly as we watch TV. These are all nutritional events that can affect our emotional health. Figure out what's going on for you. Figure out why I have this giant bowl of chips or this giant bag of chips that I eat from top to bottom in one setting. And that's what I need to fill this hole inside of my heart. Patterns that include showing emotional regulation and connection between mental health could include such things as skipping meals. If you're too busy to sit down and eat a meal or eat a healthy meal, you may need to reassess how you're living your life or reassess your schedule. If you want to be healthy and emotionally well regulated, you have to prioritize yourself, and part of that is creating the time to eat. As we look at the foods that we eat, the bottom line means we have to have proper nutrition and maintain our mental health. Choosing foods to eliminate or eat in moderation that includes sugar and caffeine. We all know that sugar can give us a short-term burst in our emotional health. And even I have my wonderful cup of coffee here that I drink as I go through my presentation. But I don't rely on sugar, which gives me short-term energy, or caffeine, which can produce an artificial state of awareness to keep me happy, healthy, and energized. Sleep, exercise, and nutrition are the key building blocks. Continue with your habits. Continue building that schedule, even including eating. When we eat breakfast, we also ensure that we make sure that we're jump-starting the way we burn our energy for the day. That's why it's called breaking the fast. If we don't break that fast, our body is not awake and we are not starting to have a healthy day. Replace sweets with fruits and whole grain carbohydrates. Find ways to make replace the things that you enjoy with things that you can also enjoy. We live in an amazing place. There's all kinds of fresh fruit provided to us on a daily basis. Whether you're going down to Aikens, to the IGA, or out to the fruit stand, we can always find the things that we need to fuel our body. Drink plenty of water. It is amazing what a well-fueled body that is lubricated with water will do for you. Water is 80% of the human body, and as we become dehydrated, our joints don't lubricate, which causes pain, which causes us frustration, which keeps us from doing the things that we want to do, and that chain can be ended with anxiety or depression as we avoid the things that make our life better. Focus on a well-balanced diet, including various foods from each section of the food guide. And remember that the food guide has changed from when we were kids in the 80s, and there's a new plate system out there talking about what it can look like. Learn more about nutrition and ensure you're eating healthy, nutritious foods such as bananas, avocados, chickens, greens, and whole grains. Maybe take a multivitamin, ensuring that you have the proper food source and fuel source for your body to operate. If you're really concerned, talk to your medical professional or talk to your dietitian and figure out what could help you as you go forward and engage the struggle you're having with anxiety and depression. As I said before, sleep is extremely important as it comes to your emotional health. We've all had that day when we woke up on the wrong side of the bed and we were cranky with the people that we love. None of us want to be that person. We all want to be the best version of ourselves as we go through our life. There's a connection between sleep problems, particular insomnia, and depression. We most often find insomnia in patients diagnosed with clinical depression. In fact, sleep disturbance is one of the core symptoms of clinical depression as we look through the DSM, or the Diagnosing Statistical Manual for Psychological Disorders. If you're not sleeping, you're not resetting your body. You don't have the emotional and physical energy to go forward with the things you need to do during the next day. More than 80% of those suffering from depression experience insomnia or some other type of sleep disturbance. Some of these sleep disturbances are medically connected. Talk to your doctor. Find out if there's something your doctor can do to help you other than just telling you to go to bed. There's disorders, sleep-wake disorders. There's a lack of nutrition in your diet. There's a lack of exercise. And amazingly enough, all these things seem to connect back and affect our mind, our spirit, and our body. Try to create a schedule for yourself. Go to sleep at the same time every day if possible. Get enough sleep. Plan to allow for 8 hours, but know that each one of us is an individual and is affected differently by sleep. Some of us need 8 hours. Some of us need 10 hours. Some of us need 4 hours. I seem to be random in those things, waking up fully rested, sometimes at 10 hours, sometimes at 8 hours, and unfortunately, sometimes at 4 hours. Decrease the stimulus that you have before you go to bed. So if you're one of those people that stays up and has TV or has something going on that keeps you excited all the way until it's time to go to bed, let's change that behavior. Is there a calming music you can listen to? Is there a podcast you can listen to? Or is there a very boring book that you could pick up that you know is going to make you so tired that you can't keep your eyes open? Decrease that stimulation in your life and find ways to help yourself shut down. If you take medications for sleep, try to take them at least an hour before you go to bed. Find an activity that is relaxing for you and try to practice it in your schedule as part of your go-to-sleep regimen. If we have a regimen that says, I go to bed at X time, I wake up at X time, I have physical activity from X time to X time, I have a great breakfast, then I experience my day, and then I come home and I have that time to really enjoy my life. It could change your life, trust me. Make a mental list of all the things you have to be helpful for. And if that mental list isn't enough, write it down. Taking those anxieties and worries off of your heart and putting them someplace that they have a physical place can help you as you sleep. Because when you're trying to hold on to that idea inside of your mind, instead of on a piece of paper, it's going to create anxiety and worry that's going to prevent you from sleeping. Avoid caffeine 4 to 6 hours before you go to sleep. Luckily, I'm 4 to 6 hours before going to bed. Avoid alcohol. It's a depressant which may induce sleep, but will disrupt it later. Avoid consuming a heavy meal before going to bed. Your body won't process it correctly. You won't sleep well. And if you need something, try a light carbohydrate stack that will keep your body fueled through the night, but just enough to help you go to sleep. And don't forget to exercise. I know I say that about 1,000,000 times, but exercise is what burns off that nervous energy and helps us as we go through our everyday life. If you feel like you're working into all these elements of emotional health and you're doing the things that you need to keep yourself okay in your daily basis, and it's just not enough, reach out and get help. There are many places where you can get help with your emotional wellness. Here in Grant County, we have Brand Integrated Services with locations here in Quincy, in Grand Coulee, Moses Lake, Royal City, and Mattawa. You can reach Grant Integrated Services at 509-765-9239. Here in Quincy, we have a couple different options for therapists that are working in private practice. You can reach out to Pam Dugan, who's been doing this amazing work for longer than I can even imagine, and is an amazing therapist. You can reach Pam at 509-795-9799. 0646. And then, of course, there's myself. I work here in the Quincy Hospital. We have a space, but most of my work is done by telehealth, so I can reach out to you wherever you are, and we can talk with video. My phone number is 425-427-9383. As always, engaging with your emotional health is a complicated process that we always need to think about. If you have any questions, please ask them below, and we'll try to answer them in future presentations. Thank you for your time, and I hope you are well. Welcome. I'm Rob Bates. I'm here with Community Wellness Solutions. I'm a licensed mental health clinician working here in the Quincy area out of the Quincy Valley Community Hospital. Contact information, if you feel like you need to reach out, is provided within this presentation. And thank you for coming. Community Wellness Solutions takes a holistic approach to partnering with communities to address growing social justice concerns and instilling hope in rural communities. We envision an environment where community partners engage with the community to disrupt substance abuse, poverty, and the cycle of violence which perpetuates dysfunction, pain, and trauma in our communities. Community Wellness Solutions envisions engaging our communities, building health and wellness, helping communities cope or prevent stress-related experiences daily. As we talk about emotional health, we have to ask the question, what is mental health? Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress and relate to others and make choices. Our presentation has covered 15 of the core elements of emotional health. Today, we're going to cover the fifth element, which is to nurture your self-esteem. We have something to like about everybody. There's something good about everybody. And as we think about it, if you don't like yourself, how are you going to be emotionally okay? How are you not going to experience that depression and anxiety that can overwhelm you and rule your life on a daily basis? Healthy people understand that their self-esteem will go through natural highs and lows as they go through life. As we experience challenges, as we're stressed, as we question ourselves and our choices, of course, we're going to experience more anxiety and possibly some depression. This is natural. This is normal. Sometimes we go through those moments where we have those really great highs, where we graduate from high school, we get married, we accomplish a task that we've been looking to accomplish for years, and we have that high. That's amazing as well. But as we get stuck in either that high and we can't come back to our baseline, or if we get stuck in that low where we're anxious and depressed all the time, there's definitely an issue that we need to work through. People that are emotionally healthy don't hold on to judgments about others, but rather these changes accept and nurture them. We accept them both in others and in ourselves. We accept that as we go through life, we're going to learn, we're going to grow, and we're going to become a different person. How sad would it be to be the same person when we're 5 years old as when we're 65 years old? And we can say that doesn't sound right, but some of our reactions will be the same. We get stuck in our emotional behaviors and we become the same person. How many times have I heard someone say, there's someone's mother, elderly mother at that, talk about the fact that they have a behavior at 35 and 38 years old that they had when they were 5 years old. The hope is to grow out of some of these behaviors and to figure out how to make them the best part of our life or how to make our life better. As we go through and we think about our self-esteem, we identify the situations that really can attack our self-esteem. Think about the conditions or situations that seem to deflate your self-esteem. Once you've identified these situations, pay attention to your thoughts and as you go through them. Understand what's going on for yourself as you go in that moment. Prepare yourself before you have to go to some of these things. Whether that be talking to some family member that you know has different thoughts, ideas, and beliefs about your behaviors, who you are or who you should be. You know that they're going to say something, and you know that it might be hurtful if you don't accept them for who they are. Part of accepting ourselves for who we are is accepting others for who they are as well. That doesn't mean we have to spend that time with them. It just means we love them, no matter who they are. Common triggers for anxiety that might cause some distress inside of our self-esteem could be a work or school presentation. There's nothing more than telling somebody what we know that can cause some anxiety. I'm extremely good at my job. I do a great job as I work with people in that safe space of the therapy room. But coming here and presenting on everything that I know by rote is still stressful for me. So understand what it's going to do and how it's going to affect you. Even though I know I'm going to be stressed as I give this presentation, I don't avoid it. I come in, I recognize what it is, and I move through it. As we experience crisis, this can affect our self-esteem. When we have something happen, we want to be enough to solve everything, whether that crisis be at work or at home. Being enough seems to help our self-esteem, and when we question that, it can bode poorly for us. As we're challenged, as somebody directly challenges our self-esteem, we're going to feel a little bit of wavering of whether we're right or whether we're enough. It's okay to have that moment. It's okay to work through it. And another trigger to self-esteem could be that change in life roles. Say you have a job and you're a two-income household, and one of you loses your job and has to go work at home and focus on those things that didn't give you your value before. You're going to change your role. It doesn't mean you have less value. It just means your value for your family is different. If you're not at work, figure out how you can fill this new role the best way you can. And if you have to leave a role at home and go to work, remember that you're still valuable at home. You're just taking on more. And more is always better when we find that balance. Become more aware of your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. What you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself and what you believe about yourself will often become that true narrative that we carry about ourselves. If you believe you're not enough, if you believe you don't have the things that you need to do to be a good enough person for your day, you're going to struggle with insecurity, anxiety, and depression for your entire life. Let's find a way for you to be okay. Let's find a way for you to be enough so that you don't have to face those things, so you can have better relationships and better engage those around you. And as a whole, you can be healthier for yourself, bringing wellness to your mind, your body, and your spirit. As you look about these beliefs about yourself, let's challenge them. Let's make sure that they're true and that there's something you want to continue to believe about yourself. Your initial thoughts may not be the only way to view your situation. Often we can reframe that idea and come at it from a different direction, which could be positive. So you lost your job and you think you're only valuable because you bring money into the home. What if we reframe that and we look at that relationship you can have with your family now that you're at home more? That time you used to spend at work, you can now spend at home, loving, caring, and in relationship to the people that truly matter to you. If relationships are dysfunctional or there's stress or anxiety in them, it gives you time to figure out what's going wrong and how you can move forward and how you can make it better for yourself and the others in your life. Don't jump to negative conclusions. Just because somebody gives you that look and it brings up those horrible feelings of insecurity and anxiety that we have in ourselves, each and every one of us, doesn't mean that it's true. Let's ask questions. Let's communicate. Let's understand what other people are thinking, feeling, and believing. And let's think deeply about what we're thinking, feeling, and believing so that we can have the best life and challenge our negative and inaccurate thinking. As we've challenged those inaccurate and negative thoughts, we have to adjust our thought process. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means you learned. We all learn, we all grow, we all change throughout our entire life. If you're stagnant and you're not understanding more about yourself, then you're not growing. And that's a great reason to start challenging yourself to become a different person. As we look at the statements that are going on, as we're challenging and adjusting our thoughts and beliefs, we have to change our language. Often people associate the word yet as a negative word. I think it's one of the most positive words on the face of the planet. When I say I haven't accomplished something yet, it means I haven't quit. I haven't failed. I haven't stopped trying to achieve this thing that I truly want to happen. We're recognizing that even though something is tough, we can handle the situation, and we're going to continue persevering to accomplish whatever the task may be. Forgive yourself for your failures. We all fail. And as we adjust to those thoughts of failure and the belief that we're never going to accomplish our dreams, we have to remember that it is possible. We just haven't made it to the place where we want to be yet. Forgive yourself when you fail, because we all fail. Failure is part of the learning process. Failure is part of growth and change. To become an expert, we have to fail 10,000 times. And even when you fail 10,000 times and you become an expert, you will still fail. Failure is part of life. It's okay. It doesn't make you less than. It does not make you not enough. Avoid should statements in your life. Should is a very judgmental word, and we're judging what we should do instead of what we are doing and how hard we are working and what we may do or what we could do if the possibility presented itself in our life. Always focus on the positive. The negative is always there. It's always going to be right around the corner. If we focus on that, we're never going to enjoy the moment we're in today. Let's live here. Let's live today. Let's enjoy the things that we have going on in our life right now. Even if it's not the best thing, let's still enjoy that we're here with these people that we're arguing with, that we're feeling conflict with, because we get to be in relationship to them. And possibly, they may come to our way of thinking, and possibly, we may go to their way of thinking. And how miraculous would it be if we see each other's point and we find a place in the middle to continue our discussion. Always consider what you've learned in the past. Learning is a continuous process. We are never going to stop learning. If you have stopped learning, you probably found a coffin, because that's the only time our brains stop moving. Relabel upsetting thoughts. This is what I've talked about before, is reframing. We can look at something as a bad or a horrible or angry or mad There is such a thing as righteous anger. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to be sad. It is okay to be anxious. It is okay for all these emotions. The question is, what are we going to do with them? As we relabel these emotions, we turn them into a different spin on who we are and help us become a happier person. Engage yourself. I always have a hard time with positive self-talk, so I talk to my dog. My dog never repeats anything I say. Most lovely creature on the planet. But she gives me a place to say these thoughts that I have inside my head, that I often want to say outside my head, but don't feel safe enough in every environment in order to do that. Give yourself the space to have that conversation with yourself and step back and really explore your thoughts. Repeat your negative thoughts. Write them down. Question them. And come up with solutions. Because there are solutions. We just don't have them now. And even if we have a solution, it's not going to be perfect today. No big change in your life is really going to stick if we make it overnight. But if we change 1 degree over 360 days, we will go in a full circle and still experience our full life and not be where we were before. One technique to engage these negative thoughts is to actually write them down using your non-dominant hand. It will feel strange. It will feel like somebody else is thinking and saying these thoughts. And it's actually really, really hard. But what it does is it puts us in a different part of our brain. We all know that right-handed people are supposedly more logical, and left-handed people are more creative. Whether or not that's true or not, we can challenge every day. I don't think it's quite that cut and dry. But what we can say is different parts of our body are controlled by different parts of our brain. So as we use our right hand, which is our dominant hand, if you're right-handed, to write down those same things and those same thoughts that you've been having the entire day, you're going to have the same thought process as you go through them. If you switch to your left hand and you write these things down, I'll even tell you as a therapist, it's really weird how much it changes your thought process as you go through it. Let's be creative. Let's think of different ways to go through this process and make your life better. Take that step back from your thought process. Let's let go of that concrete nature of what it is and think about the possibilities which can make you a better person that you already are. Thank you. And if these emotional behaviors go to a point where they're overwhelming you and they're more than you can handle, it's always okay to reach out and get help. Here in Grant County, you can reach out to Grant Integrated Services, which has locations in Quincy, Grand Coulee, Moses Lake, Mattawa, and Royal City. And there are some amazing therapists that can help you work through whatever issue you're facing. If they're full and you need to reach out and you want to get different help, there's also Pam Dugan here in Quincy, and then myself here in Quincy as well. Feel free to use the contact information provided to reach out to either one of us. If you're in crisis, please reach out to the crisis line. There are multiple crisis lines available in the area. You can reach out to Grant Integrated Services, and on their website they have the crisis connections. If you're a veteran, there's the 1-800-CALL-VETS, or there's just somebody you can talk to, I'm sure, somewhere in this community. There are many ministers that are amazing people. There are many places that people actually care, and we'll listen to you and we'll hear you. Thank you. If you have any questions or if you would like to add to the discussion, please do so in the comments below. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. Welcome to Community Wellness Solutions presentations on emotional health and the elements of emotional health. Here we like to focus on the positive elements and help you look at ways to make your life better. because we all know what brings us down, what makes us upset, and what makes us unhappy. I'm Rob Bates. I'm a licensed mental health clinician. I'm practicing in private practice here in Quincy. There's contact information for me included within this presentation. Community Wellness Solutions takes a holistic approach to partnering with communities to address growing social justice concerns and instilling hope in rural communities. We envision an environment where community partners engage with communities to disrupt substance abuse, poverty, and the cycle of violence which perpetuate dysfunction, pain, and trauma in our communities. Community Wellness Solutions envisions engaging communities, building health and wellness, helping communities cope or prevent related stressors experienced daily. As we talk about mental health, it's good to have a clear definition of what mental health is. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices in our everyday life. In this presentation, we're focusing on the elements of emotional health, and today, we're going to talk about practicing emotional flexibility. Emotional flexibility is extremely important when we think about emotional health. Emotionally healthy people are adaptable. They can assess a new situation, how they're feeling, and others' reaction to it. They can decide what is the best way to respond for them. We all know that anxiety. We walk into a crowd of people we don't know. We all understand that anxiety when we sit down to take a test. We all understand that depression we have when we feel disappointment, or the sadness or the grief we feel as we lose something that was truly important to us. These are all okay. These are all okay emotions to go through. There's even such a thing as righteous anger. It is okay to be angry, and I'll tell you that all day long. But with emotional flexibility, we understand while it is okay to be angry, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to be depressed, and it's okay to be anxious, excited, happy, ecstatic, or any other emotion. What really matters is the behavior we have that comes out of that. As we experience psychological flexibility, we allow ourselves to experience the emotions that we're going through in the moment and find ways to create congruent ways to bring our behavior in line with our values and in line with the situation. We're not going to be happy every day of our life. We're not going to be sad every day of our life. There's a baseline in between the two that becomes that moment. Emotional flexibility means we're going to go through that baseline down. We're going to experience times, moments, days when we have sadness or are a little bit depressed or a little bit anxious and experience what we might define as a negative emotion. But that flexibility also gives us the time to go up and experience joy and happiness and excitement and all those positive emotions that we relate to what's going on in our life. As a therapist, I don't think either of those emotions, those supposedly positive or those supposedly negative emotions, are bad. I think they're part of the emotional flexibility we have in our everyday life that allows us to go through this in a healthy way. If you're too excited all the time, you may have some anxiety going on, and we may need to talk about this and figure out what's going on. If you're sad, or you're depressed, or you're anxious, and you're down all the time, it's the same issue. If you're flat in your affect and you can't experience either happiness or sadness, we definitely need to talk. It's that flexibility that allows you to move between these elements of yourself, of being a full and healthy person, that makes us better people. Our psychological flexibility allows us to adapt to situations that we're in. I don't know about you, but I get very nervous when I go into large crowds or when I have to present, such as we're doing today. I accept and I am okay with the fact that my emotional point is going to cause me some stress, and it's going to cause me to stutter a little bit, or maybe to use a few different words that I didn't mean to use. I'm okay with that because I have emotional flexibility that allows me to be okay and forgive myself for when I'm not perfect. You can do that as well. Just as you heard me say, as I modeled for you that behavior of forgiving myself and having emotional flexibility gives us those strategies we can have as we go through our everyday life and practice being emotionally healthy. Emotional health and flexibility doesn't just happen. We have to practice it. We have to have strategies, and we have to have coping skills in place for those days that we're not going to be that person that we really want to be. It's okay. It's okay. We will allow that completely. Let's just figure out the healthy coping skills that are going to help you transition from that bad day to that next great day. Or from that series of bad days to what's going to come next and how are we going to get out of this funk? How are we going to move forward? And how are we going to experience life with both positive and negative? And the idea of when you come in and talk to a therapist isn't to get away from those bad days, but to shift. So we talked about a baseline, which is in the middle, with highs and lows. The ultimate is to shift our emotional state so that we are no longer below that baseline, but our new baseline is our new low. Our old baseline is our new low. Listen to that, I'm misspeaking. And our new high is something we couldn't even imagine before. And our old high is just an everyday. Or maybe somewhere, wherever it is, inside of that. That's how we create emotional flexibility in our lives. Emotionally flexible people are open, aware, and committed to behaviors that are congruent with deeply held values. We can have our deeply held values. We can believe in our faith. We can be committed to our faith and still be open to someone else's faith. We can understand that I am 100% right for myself, while another person is 100% right for themselves. The only time we frown on this is when we start projecting our values and stop that open thought and that free association of ideas and behaviors and words to tell somebody else that they can't be who they are because I'm right and you need to be who I tell you to be. That's not emotional flexibility. Emotional flexibility is accepting people for who they are and allowing them to live their best life as long as they're not hurting another human being. As we look at people who aren't emotionally healthy, this rigid, inflexible way that they go through life is often how we can see what's going on. We often think about this as black and white thinking. I'm either this or I'm this. And as we look at these two rigid states, as we look at this black or this white, this good, this bad, this excitement, this depression, and we look at them as this, we forget that we're human beings. And somewhere in between these two states is a billion shades of gray, going from that black to that pure white. And we're all somewhere in the middle of that. We're all on this gradient scale. And we're all trying to live our best life within our values as we go forward. Traditionally, positive thoughts are what's considered to be the best thought for the moment. But we can all think of horrible things that we've seen, or horrible things that we've said, or ways that we've acted in ways that we don't like as ourselves, as we become more self-aware. And it's okay to be sad. I think that's a positive emotion when you've behaved in a way that isn't congruent with who you are. Or you've seen something that is horrible or traumatic or frustrating. I don't think that these are bad emotions. I think they're just emotions. What makes them good or bad is what we choose to do with those emotions. If we choose to stay in that emotional of frustration or sadness and not find a way to get out of it, that's an emotional inflexibility. That's a rigid state, and we want to change that. We want to help you move forward and do something different so that you can be happier and healthier as you go through your entire life. These moments create focuses. These moments of either happiness or sadness create these focuses that we assume defines our entire life. And you're right, they are these larger-than-life moments that stand out so vividly in our recollection of what has happened in our life. But they're but moments. And if we can remember them as that, we can move through these moments and find that next moment. Sometimes we just wake up and we realize that we're sad. And sometimes we wake up and we realize how happy we are. But we never really notice the times in between those two moments, where we transition from being a sad person to being a happy person. And we don't think about what the change and what that flexibility looks like and how it's going to move. So, if you're sad, be sad today. But remember, when we're healthy and we're emotionally flexible, it's okay. And we're going to change that as we continue to transition in our lives. This has been really hard as we've gone through our time during COVID, because we've been isolated and we haven't had that ability to practice engaging others and be emotionally flexible as we go through life. Remember that. Remember, it is really hard to challenge yourself when you're in that moment and you feel down or you feel depressed or you feel sad. It's really hard to change that and to go and do something different. If something's happened, if you've lost a job, if you've been isolated at home, if you've been in quarantine, it's natural to feel the stress and anxiety and depression of things that could be going wrong or might be going wrong. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're not enough. It just means right now you're in this moment. As we continue to practice emotional health, it will continue to improve our psychological well-being. As we continue to improve our psychological well-being, we connect this with our mind, our body, and our spiritual health. And we become a healthier person as a whole in our emotional well-being. If you feel stuck, or if you feel like you're in that black and white and you're not experiencing the gray, the gradient from that deepest dark to that lightest light than in your everyday, reach out, get help. We're here. Grand Integrated Services is spread throughout the county with community mental health, serving in Quincy, Grand Coulee, Moses Lake, Mattawa, and Royal City. Here in Quincy, we have 2 therapists in private practice, both Pam Dugan and myself. Pam is over at the Milbrandt Center, and myself, I'm inside the Quincy Valley Medical Center. Contact information is provided for both of us if you would like to reach out, as well as Grand Integrated Services. If you're in crisis, please reach out to the Grand Integrated Services webpage, where they have listed Crisis Connections contact information. Or if you're a veteran, reach out to the 1-800-CALL-VETS, or find family and friends to reach out and talk to you and get yourself to the nearest place where you can be safe. Thank you. If you have any questions, please put them in the discussion below. I appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us tonight.